Hello, good morning. I'm sitting in between curtains here, so that's why it kind of looks like weird. I wanted to talk today to you about building a personal brand that actually sells, because everybody could build a personal brand. If you start posting on social media randomly and just start posting, you can build a brand, but you're not necessarily building a brand that sells, and you're not necessarily building a brand that makes potential clients want to follow you and actually makes them want to buy from you. And this is a skill, and it requires things within your personal brand that actually most people don't do when they post on social media. So these are two things that most people are really bad at, that's making them build a personal brand that is kind of forgettable and not really attracting actually clients to follow you and clients to want to buy from you. So one of them is that a lot of people are afraid to really show how they really feel about something, what they really believe about something, their honest opinion about their industry, or how things should be done within that industry, or where you think the industry is going, or why you think everyone else is doing the wrong thing and you are doing the right thing. So a lot of people are scared to say how they really feel, because they're scared that someone will say, well, you're saying something wrong, or they're scared of getting criticism or being disliked or having people, unfollow you or something, because they're scared that they don't want to share their real opinions and how they really feel, because they're just trying to be liked, and they're trying to people please their way through social media. And I know a lot of people, especially women, have a people-pleasing tendency, and this is something you should really work on, especially when you build your personal brand. You should not build a personal brand that is about people-pleasing your way through social media, because that is how you become forgettable. Honestly, it's the same thing in real life when you meet people. When you are being authentic, and you're actually saying how you really feel about things, and you're showing who you are, that attracts people to you. But when you're always trying to be quiet, just be nice, just be the nice girl, that's not creating strong relationships. So you need to remember to be dare to stand in your own space, in your own power, and say how you really think and how you really feel about things. We need more people to dare to stand in that expert role, and I think especially women, where we shouldn't have the goal of wanting a lot of likes. The goal shouldn't be, I want a lot of likes, I want a lot of followers, I want people to like me, you're not trying to be liked. When you build a personal brand, personal branding is not about being liked. And I know that sounds crazy, but yes, it's about being liked by your ideal clients, of course. But that's kind of like going out into the world and just going outside your door every day with the goal that people will like you. That is sad. I think that's a sad existence, to walk around just striving for being liked and not being yourself, not having people love you for who you truly are, not having deep connections, but just being liked. So this fear of actually saying how you really feel and saying how what you actually think, and daring to take a stand in something, and actually sometimes going against the grain of what everyone else is saying, and being even okay with getting lots of comments with people disagreeing with you. There's nothing bad about people disagreeing with you. There's nothing bad about saying something that they don't, agree with. That's totally fine. And actually, your clients might even come to you and want to buy from you, even though they don't agree with you, because they might actually like that you stand for something. They might feel like, well, I don't agree with you, but I like that you dare to say it. I like that you have an opinion. I like that you're being yourself. So they will respect you for that. We buy from people we have respect for. How do you get respect? By walking around being nice, like being liked by everyone and going with the intention to just, I want to be liked, I want to be liked. No, that is not how you get respect. That is how you get pushed over. That's how you get how you are forgotten. And the thing is that daring to stand for something and being who you are, who you truly are, that is actually what will get people to like you. So it's not the chase after getting people to like you that will make people like you. It's not trying to be liked that makes people like you. It's being who you are and standing for something and not being afraid to say how you really feel about things. Because if you open social media today, if you go to LinkedIn today, there's so many posts of people wanting to be liked, of never saying anything that stands out, of never wanting to stand out, never going against the grain. And it's totally fine if that's not your personal brand. So you don't have to be provocative. That's not what I'm saying. You don't have to go against the grain if that's not you. But you need to feel that you are actually standing in your power and you are saying how you really feel about things. Because when I talk to my clients behind the scenes, they are super interesting people. They have opinions, they have a story, they have all these things. And then sometimes I don't see that translate to their content. So I tell them in conversations with them, well, why don't you write about this? Why don't you talk about this on social media? Like, I love this perspective. I love that you have these strong opinions about things. That's super interesting to hear. So that's what should translate into your content when you build your personal brand, because that's what you're saying to me. But then on social media, you're just trying to show up as a likable person. So do you see the difference? And the other part that kind of goes hand in hand, because I almost, at first I was going to say that there are two mistakes people make, which is they either don't dare to stand for something, stand in the expert role, for example. And then the other problem is that they're scared to be authentic, or they don't know how to be authentic. But now that I'm talking about it, I kind of understand. I realize that it is about authenticity, because authenticity is not about sharing your trauma. Like, that's not authenticity. I know sometimes we think that's authenticity. It's saying how sad you are about something, or your childhood trauma, or a sad story you have. That's not necessarily authenticity, because a lot of people use those stories sometimes, yes, to be liked, or sometimes, yes, to be authentic and actually share something, but sometimes they use these stories to get likes and views. So then there is an misaligned intention behind those stories. So I'm not saying you need to think, oh, I need to be authentic. Oh, how can I, wear no makeup and take a picture of myself in the couch and say, today's a bad day, and that's authentic. Yes, it can be. It can be authentic, but that isn't necessarily what authenticity means. Authenticity means to say how you really feel, be who you really are, and actually not censor yourself, not overthink your content, not overthink everything you're doing. Like, for example, even this live, I barely knew what I was going to talk about. I just knew like the topic kind of, but I barely knew what I was going to talk about today. And it's kind of appearing to me now that I'm talking. And usually when I do masterclasses or lives, I usually have points I make, but I try not to practice too much beforehand, because I do know that I actually lose my own authenticity if I prepare too much. If I prepare too much, if I spend several days preparing and thinking about what I'm going to say, then I actually lose that authenticity. And I know that what people want to feel the most is to be entertained and feel like they're learning and feel like I'm connecting with them. So then it's more important for me to be present in the moment than it is to be super prepared of what I'm going to say. because I think we've all been to those presentations and webinars where it's super rehearsed and the person talking is super nervous. So you're kind of like, oh, this is kind of boring. So my goal is always, I don't want to bore people. That's like my number one goal. Even when I was a consultant and I did courses, I'm like, I'm not going to bore people. This is going to be fun for them. Anyway, so that is the number one thing to build a brand that actually sells, because the actual best way for you to stand out is to be fully yourself and have your own opinions and share your authentic perspective and your specific opinion about different things, or your story, whatever it is. Because looking at what everyone else is doing and trying to copy them, or hiding behind tips and educational content, that's what a lot of people do. They hide behind these educational content types where, you know, you're sharing 3 tips how to do this, 1 tip how to do that. You know, it's kind of like, all right, we heard that. Like, everybody does that. And educational content works, it's good, but educational content only works when you add a splash of yourself on it. If you say like, this is how to build a website, number 1, number 2, that's boring, that's not interesting. But if you add something like, this is the number 1 thing you can do, because based on my experience, this is what actually will make you get more clients from your website. So that's a difference between just sharing like very generic content versus sharing content with kind of a spice of yourself in the content. So everything educational, whatever it is you're sharing, make sure that you are adding a piece of yourself in it, and you're not being, you know, I'm trying to be likable. I'm trying to just not stand out. I want to post, but I'm not gonna, I want a lot of likes and comments, but I don't want to say anything that really stands out. I don't want people to dislike me. I don't want people to unfollow me after this post. Or it's like, how does this work? You want to build your personal brand, you want to get clients through your personal brand, you want to stand out, but you also kind of want to people please your way through social media, and you want to make everyone happy. You never want to say anything that bothers anyone. It kind of goes against each other. And this is why this is actually why a lot of people don't succeed building their personal brands, because they're actually standing in the way of themselves doing it. Like, they're posting and they're trying to be strategic, but they're never adding anything of themselves. They're just trying to create a strategy, or they're just trying to like, yeah, I'll create educational posts about this. I'll make like 5 tips how to do that. I'll post like, this is like, it's all so generic. I mean, you have to remember every day we consume a lot of social media content. I go in and I scroll on LinkedIn, I scroll on Instagram. You are competing against so much content out there. Your posts are competing against so much. Okay, there's so much we could be doing with our time. It's podcasts, it's looking at, you know, you guys, those of you that have joined me here today and are watching right now, you are taking time from scrolling on Instagram, you are taking time from doing whatever you're doing to look at me right now, talking to you. So that's the power of attention. If you don't have attention, if you don't get people to give you attention, then what you're doing isn't really working. And then you really need to think about, well, what am I doing wrong? And I promise you, it is about melting into the background and not standing out. It usually is posting something that everyone else is doing. It usually is imitating other people's posts, or is trying to be like everyone else, or seeing what everyone else is doing and kind of doing the same thing that they're doing. So think about, how can you stand out? And I had a client yesterday tell me, well, he's like, well, I am kind of like, I am kind of average. I don't have a lot of strong opinions. I don't have like, and that's fine. But everyone can stand out. You don't have to stand out in the sense that you're wearing colorful clothes or you have weird style or you have strong opinions, or like, that's not your way of standing out. But what's your way of standing out? What is a part of you that is you, that is very you, and that is makes you unique, and how can you emphasize that even more in your content? That's why I'm saying, like, people that are, you know, if you're a person who's very happy and positive and extroverted, for example, and very like, you know, you walk into a room and it shines, if you're that kind of person, like, emphasize that in your content. Like, make sure that, why are you posting like carousel posts when your greatest strength is actually charming people, like, by just being there and just talking to them? Like, you should be showing up on video all the time. Your brand should be like yellow probably, and you should just be like very sunshiny, and everything should feel so positive. Like, why are you posting pink carousel posts if all the time, if that's like the only thing? You're never showing your face, and you're never really showing up, and you're never talking to anyone. Do you see how I mean? Like, we all have those parts of ourselves that could stand out, that could actually make it so that you attract clients to you, and you get potential clients to follow you, instead of having a personal brand that kind of is, you know, nothing special. So those of you that joined at the end, to summarize what I've been talking about today, is that a huge mistake that people do is that they remove their own authenticity from social media and try to people please their way through social media, and try to just be very likable, and just their goal is just, how can I get more people to like me? How can I get more followers? How can I get more likes? And how can I just walk outside my door and just everyone likes me? I just want to be liked. I just want everyone to be happy. Because then you end up censoring yourself, and you end up not being who you are, and you end up never stepping into that expert role, because you're scared of what someone will say if they disagree with you, or if you say something wrong, and you're scared of showing who you really are and your personality, because you're scared of being rejected. So a lot of people hide between the educational content, the tips, the how-tos, the guides, where, you know, you don't really know who this person is. And I see a lot of those accounts on Instagram especially, where it's kind of like, you don't really know who it is that has that account. It's very pretty. It's a lot of pink, it's carousel posts, it's inspirational quotes, but I never see their face, I never see their personality, I never see them on video. And on LinkedIn as well, they might post something, but it kind of disappears. So remember, you are competing against a lot of content on social media. So how can you stand out? How can you have people follow you? I mean, personally, I mean, the account that I use to actually consume content is actually my other account. I don't really use this account as much to consume content. And on that account, I follow like 400 people or so. And half of it is like meme accounts or friends, like most of it is. And then I have like a few entrepreneur accounts that I actually follow. And then I watch everything. I don't follow everyone, because if it stands out for me, if it is interesting to me and very, very, very relevant for me, I mean, usually I end up buying their services. I mean, if I follow them, I usually end up buying their services, now that I think about it. Because that means it's super relevant for me, and they stand out for me, and they stand for something, and it's not this generic content where, you know, anyone could post this and I don't even know who you are. Like, yeah, it's kind of, you know, it's a nice post, but I don't know who you are. You don't stand out. There's nothing different. So that's like, personally, I end up following people, and then I consume everything, and I end up buying from them at some point. Because you need to be super relevant to your audience, and the best way to be super relevant, yes, it's in your niche, but that's not what we're talking about right now. So it's partly in your niche to make sure that you're super relevant for your target audience, but it's also being who you are. I mean, I see people on social media where actually there is the one account I follow where I don't think I will buy from this person, But I follow this account because it's such she has such a personal brand that is so interesting to me, and the way she markets is so different from how I would do it. So I'm inspired by her being in her power and being like very authentically her, and like that's not how I would do it, and I would probably not buy from her, but I'm just kind of inspired by someone who stands out and is different from everyone else, and kind of dares to do that. So that's why I'm saying, don't, like, we need to move away from these kind of likable generic content that AI could write, or these pretty posts that Canva created. You know, everybody has the same branding or colors, and everybody says similar things about everything, and there's nothing that stands out. So that's what I want you to take with you today after this live. I want you to think about, how can I be more authentic in my content and stop censoring myself? And how can I make sure that I actually stand out and I capture attention from people? I make them want to watch my content, look at my stuff, because you are competing against a lot of good content out there. Okay? I will see you soon. Bye.